become a social worker, you have to get a bachelor's degree and then get a master's degree. In some fields, you can be a social worker with just a high school diploma. There's a couple different. Social worker is a very big term.
Oh, okay.
Right. After I graduated from college with my bachelor's, I went into the social work field, and I worked with homeless youth in New York.
Oh my gosh.
And everyone considered themselves a social worker there, but everybody was like bachelor level.
Okay.
And then we had our clinician who had a master's degree.
Okay.
So you can consider yourself a social worker with just a bachelor's degree. However, if you want to be an MSW or a clinical social worker, you do have to get your master's.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the clinical social workers or the MSWs, they can counsel people? Is that the difference? Or?
Right. So an MSW is just what you are after you get your master's degree.
Oh.
And MSWs can do case management.
Oh,
You can also be a hospital social worker with just an MSW. You can do like various other jobs as well. But so to become a clinical social worker, you have to get a license.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's an LCSW. In some states, they call it other. They have other acronyms for it.
Okay.
But in California, you have to be an LCSW.
And that you take a test.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to study for a test. You have to get a certain amount of hours supervised under an LCSW or an MFT. And it's just a long, strenuous process.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm pretty close to getting my license now. I'm currently an associate clinical social worker.
That's so cool.
I'm getting all my hours. I'll be done this month. Yeah, so
Yay.
I'm going to submit my application at the end of the month, and then I have to wait it takes about 60 business days to process the application.
Oh, gosh.
So that'll be like August.
Ugh.
And then I'll take the test then and hopefully I'll find out, you take it on a computer, so they can tell you right away if you passed or not.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the pressure.
Yeah, and then you have to wait another 60 or 40 days to actually get your paper license.
Oh my gosh, it'll be like 2018.
Right? Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about
Cool.
it.
Congratulations. I mean, I assume it'll all be fine.
Yeah, hopefully I'll pass.
Yeah. All right. So it's taken a while. But you got your BA, you've worked, and then you went back. So
Mm-hmm.
let me jump to this question. They said, what were some of the hardships on your journey as
Mm-hmm.
you're about to reach? And that's the side you can go, right? The licensed.
Yeah. You can get a doctorate in social work, but that's more if you want to go into teaching and research and all that.
Okay.
So what's the question again?
What were some of the hardships on your journey? Or maybe there weren't any. But...
I would say probably finding a job after I graduated with my master's in social work.
It's crazy.
It's like some of my colleagues got a job right away from their internship. Others of us had to wait months and months and months. And I was, unfortunately, one of those people that had to wait a little while to get a job. And then in my first job, I loved it. It was great. But I wasn't getting the clinical experience that I needed to get my license. So even though I loved that job, I chose to move so that I could do the assessments and the therapy and all that more clinical stuff that I really needed experience in to get my LCSW.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your job now, generally?
I'm a clinical social worker with Riverside County's Department of Mental Health, and I work at Western Region Adult FSP, which is a full-service partnership, and I work with adults 25 to 60 who have severe and persistent mental illness.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. And an FSP is like a wraparound program. So we give them case management groups, therapy, psychiatry. We go above and beyond to take someone who's overutilized in crisis services like hospitals and law enforcement and regular medical hospitals and try to get them linked to our clinic where they can use our services and not have to go to the hospital all the time.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Okay, so what is your day-to-day job like? Are you behind a desk all day? Do you go into the field at all?
Mm-hmm. So, my current job, I do have an office, and I am behind a desk a lot. However, I do get to go out into the field on a regular basis. For instance, my clients who are housed, I have to go and do house visits once a month at least.
Oh.
And then I also work with a lot of homeless individuals. So I go out and look for them because they don't always come to the clinic. Yeah. So I wander around Riverside to the homeless shelter, to the hospitals, downtown Riverside, where homeless people tend to congregate. Go to Fairmont Park a lot.
Do they mind you showing up? Are they glad you came and found them?
Well, it depends on the day.
Okay.
Sometimes they're in a bad mood too. But usually when I interact with them out in the community, they're fine.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
They'll be like, "Hey, I've been meaning to call you."
Yeah.
They're like, "Well, here I am."
I can be it. That's
Mm-hmm.
like a service. Okay. So I got those. What is the most rewarding thing about doing social work?
So with my current program, we work with really severely ill people. So the rewarding thing can be seeing someone get housed, or seeing someone who was really, really very sick finally get treatment and start stabilizing.
That's important.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Do you feel like you help people as much as you thought you would before you started?
I definitely feel like I help people. There's a lot of systematic challenges that we have to face, like a lot of boundaries that the system just puts up. Like a lot of people, my clients are homeless, and my program is a mental health program, so I can help them cope with being homeless, and we don't really have the resources to provide them housing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of clients that come to me and are like, "Hey, can you help me with housing?" And I'm like, "Sorry, that's not really what we do here. We're a mental health clinic. I can help you cope with it, but..."
Man.
And we try to link them to housing. We do the best we can. There are housing resources in the county, but that's not our job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. So that sounds like a challenge. It's rewarding to help them at all, and then a challenge built into that,
Mm-hmm.
that help, I guess. Maybe you already answered this, but what's the hardest part of being a social worker?
It's, especially in my job, it can be extremely taxing, emotionally. I have a lot of really sick clients. So they come in a crisis all the time, and so they're elevated, so then you get up there and you're kind of trying to calm them down. And if you have one client come in and then another client come in and another client come in, you sometimes don't get a break.
Ooh, gosh.
It's just really emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have a good team of people you're working with to try to be able to let off some steam or joke around or just kind of reduce the tension a little bit, or have a good system outside of work to help you relax, then it can be kind of difficult sometimes.
Yeah. That reminds people always talk about burnout
Mm-hmm.
in that field.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right.
All right, let's see. What about bringing home a problem? Does it affect your home life? Or can you leave the people at work and leave their problems at work? And...
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I do a little bit of both. I definitely will, especially if something interesting has happened during the day, I'd like to come home and talk about it and be like, "Hey, in this meeting we talked about this and that, and today I housed somebody, or today I hospitalized someone, or today this client came in and had really interesting psychotic features," or something like that. So yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit, but I can totally forget about work at home.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'll go into my weekend and I won't even think about my clients.
Okay. And that's probably what is going to allow you to keep doing the job, you know?
Hopefully.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me go back up here. We answered some of these in terms of becoming a social worker. What do you recommend to someone who wants to be in the field to do? And so students of maybe an internship, or just any advice that you have.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that after I got my bachelor's degree, what some of the what. So I went to Cal State San Bernardino.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And one of the things that they really liked about my application was that I had work experience after my bachelor's degree. So I had been out in the field doing the work already, and then decided that I wanted to get my master's and go further in that field. So volunteering is really good, especially if you want to go straight from your BA to your MSW or your BS to your MSW. Volunteering, just anything to kind of bulk up your resume and application, showing people that, hey, I really want to be in this field and help people out and all that jazz. So.
Do you have to figure out the population you want to work with early? Is that helpful, or
not necessarily?
Okay.
So when I went into my MSW, I wanted to work with TAYS, transitional age youth, which is between the ages of 18 to 25.
Oh, okay.
It's a big population these days that need a lot of help. You get out of high school and your parents kick you out, and then you're left with no resources, and you've never had a job before, and you don't have a home and no money or anything. So, and you're a really vulnerable age. People might take advantage of you and that sort of thing. And those are the kids I worked with right out of college. So I really thought I wanted to work with them. So I voiced that to my my supervisors at Cal State, and they were like, "We're going to put you with veterans."
Whoa! Oh, because you are a veteran.
No,
right?
It wasn't even because of that. It was they're like, "You've never worked with veterans before, so you should go." And I was like, "I really want to work with TAYS," and they're like, "Nope, we want you to do something completely different."
Wow!
So they make you work with different populations, so that you do get a broader idea of who you might want to work with.
Okay.
You might have an idea when you're younger, like, oh, I just want to work with TAYS the rest of my life. But they really want to expand you and stretch you a little bit to see maybe there's other things you might want to work with and on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm working with adults.
So you never thought.
Right. And my very first job, the kids I worked with, some of them had mental health issues, but most of them were just kids that came from bad backgrounds and needed a little bit of direction in their life.
That's really different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Backing up a little bit, because that job sounds really interesting. How did you get that job? That wasn't here.
It was in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. After I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I didn't want to have a real job. So I volunteered with AmeriCorps.
Oh, cool.
And found a program called Covenant House, and it's a homeless shelter for 18 to 25-year-old kids.
How cool.
And it was it was a really cool experience because I got to live with a whole bunch of people that were also volunteering, so it was an intentional community experience.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so we were all working at the shelter and living together and just experiencing New York together. It was pretty cool.
That's cool. And you don't get a lot of money, right? You're doing it for the actual...
Right.
Work.
So that Covenant House experience, I was a volunteer. So I didn't get paid at all. They paid for housing and food and a metro ticket.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Whoa.
and a tiny stipend for toiletries and stuff like that. But yeah, that job was completely volunteer. Then I got hired on there. I said, hey, I want to work. So they hired me. So I worked there for a year. And then I came out to California and started going for my master's.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good story. And I don't know how much about you. Did you ever go to community college? Or did you go straight to a 4-year?
No, I just went straight to a 4-year college. But my brother went to a community college and he really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And then that's a good story. You volunteered first and you got the job because they knew you. So that's a good,
right.
That's a positive.
Exactly.
Cool. Good tips. How hard is it to get a job as a social worker? Are there jobs all around everywhere?
Mm-hmm. So I kind of talked a little bit about this, how after I got my master's, I had to wait a couple of months before I actually got hired. And that's because I was looking for a clinical social worker job. And there are social worker jobs all over the place.
Okay.
It really depends on, let's just turn it off.
No way.
Oh, no, I think it's still going. The screen just shut off. Okay. Sorry.
Begin to the end. Okay.
So there are social work jobs all over the place in all sorts of areas. when I came out here and I didn't have my master's, I was looking for a social work job, and there's like a lot of jobs in what are they called? Like group homes with foster kids and stuff like that. You can get You can get bachelor level jobs with the county.
Oh, cool.
You can get jobs in like DPSS, which is the Department of Social Services, and they do child and adult protective services, and then also like food stamps and Medi-Cal and like CalFresh, and those are just like county jobs. And I know a lot more about the county because I've been working with counties for the last couple of years. But like my veteran internship was in Moreno Valley, and that was kind of like a case management job. So you could get a job at the VA, you could get a job at hospitals, schools have social workers, some police departments have social workers.
I never knew that.
The military has social workers, and you can get a military job as a bachelor in social work as well.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool.
You can get a social worker job almost anywhere.
So it's a good degree to pursue.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you go out to LA, you're going to find a lot more. But there's definitely a lot out here.
Cool. That's good to know.
And it just depends on, like, what you want to look for. So, like, I was looking for a clinical job, so that kind of decreased my pool a little bit more than some of the other jobs I could have looked for.
That makes sense. And if you don't mind talking about some of the benefits of working for the county or past jobs?
Well, county work, you do get like retirement and stuff like that. So if you have to work for at least 5 years with the county, and then you'll get some sort of retirement afterwards. So the longer you work with the county, the more your retirement is.
Okay.
So if I'm there for 25 years, I'm gonna get a pretty good retirement. They also give you health insurance, and the pay is not that bad. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable.
That's good.
With my salary.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. And let me see. So you got your master's at here, Cal State San Bernardino. Where'd you go for undergrad?
I went to the University of New Hampshire.
Oh, right. That's right.
And I got my degree in anthropology.
Oh. So you weren't a social work?
No, I wasn't a social work.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really liked culture. I initially went to college for a degree in chemistry.
Oh my gosh. You really came like way far.
Yeah. And I couldn't cut it with math. So I didn't want to go into history because I thought that was a dead end. So I decided to go into anthropology because I really liked culture, and I felt like culture was a very alive thing and something you could study. Like, when people think of anthropology, they think of like Indiana Jones and finding artifacts, but it's also about like the culture around us. Like, I work with the homeless population, and understanding their culture really helps me to build a better rapport with them.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Like, culture plays a really big role in social work. Like, I am a Caucasian female. That's my culture, but I work with a lot of Latinos and African Americans and Asians, and like people from the south of the United States, and I've worked with Northeasterners and Californians, and like people bring their culture with them from wherever they came and kind of like mesh it. And I've actually had some like not so positive interactions with like culture, that just because of culture has kind of not allowed me to work as successfully with that individual.
Yeah. So you have to be prepared for the diversity you're going to encounter and how it might be a barrier or a strength. I guess.
Right, for sure.
I guess the more experience you get, the better it is, right?
Yeah, and understanding that like everybody's culture has a big impact in themselves, and your culture might not work with someone else's culture, and especially in social work, it's a lot about the relationship. And if your client is just not working with you, no matter how hard you try to reach out to them, then it could be a cultural thing, and that's a time to speak to a supervisor and see if they should be tried with someone else or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're trying to help them the best you can. I can see anthropology makes sense now. Right? So you don't have to major in psych, you don't have to major in social at the undergrad level. You can transition in.
When I did go for my master's, they did ask me to take a couple of additional courses. I needed to take a human development course, and then I had to take another course. I think it was another like psych or sociology sort of course.
Okay.
So a psych or sociology degree would help going into social work.
Okay.
But you can go from anything.
And just figure it out at that
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like any, what is it called? Humanities major, pretty
Okay.
much.
That's good. So in terms of length of time, so you have to do the bachelor's, and then the master's is 2 years. Is that the
Master's
fastest
is
you
2
do it?
years. Mm-hmm.
And then the clinical's taking you to get the license is long.
Yeah, if you can work and collect your 40 hours a week of your time, you can do it in 2 years.
Oh,
However,
wow.
most people will do it in 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And you have up to 6 years to do it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good.
So mine will take me about 3.5 years to get.
That's not bad.
Mm-hmm. And that's counting a couple of months that I wasn't working. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think we've covered all the bases. Any other parting thoughts or advice?
It's a very vague question.
It's hard, I know. If you could talk to yourself when you were 20, or still an undergrad, students are all ages actually in my classes. What would you tell them?
Volunteer. Definitely to volunteer. Volunteering, I encourage all of my clients to volunteer, especially when I was working with young kids. I was always encouraging them to volunteer and get some experience, and that would help them move forward in their career path and their life. And it was just a really good way for me to get experience. So I definitely had no idea where I was going after my bachelor's degree, so volunteering gave me a direction. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.